All right, let's jump straight into this explainer. What we're about to unpack is, without a doubt, the greatest vanishing act of the digital age. It's a massive investigative crime dossier about a multi-billion-dollar empire built on absolutely nothing but an illusion. And the craziest part, the mastermind behind it all managed to completely evaporate into thin air right as the authorities were closing in. The woman we're talking about today orchestrated a staggering $4 billion global scam. Her name is Dr. Ruja Ignatova. She created a completely fake cryptocurrency called OneCoin, scammed millions of people across 175 different countries, and then, in late 2017, she just vanished. No trace. It's a wild story full of billionaire luxury, massive deception, and an intense manhunt that's still spanning the globe today. $5 million. Let that sink in for a second. That is the massive reward the U.S. State Department is currently offering for any information that leads to her arrest or conviction. She's literally one of the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives right now, which really proves just how desperately international law enforcement wants to finally corner the Cryptoqueen.
Okay, let's start with part 1, the Bitcoin killer illusion.
To really understand how she stole $4 billion, we have to rewind from this gritty present-day manhunt back to 2016 and look at how she sold the dream. I mean, picture this: London's Wembley Arena, dazzling pyrotechnics going off, Alicia Keys, This Girl's on Fire, blasting over the speakers, and Ruja stepping out onto the stage in this glittering red ball gown. She stood right there in front of 3,000 adoring fans and boldly promised them a financial revolution, claiming OneCoin was the ultimate Bitcoin killer. She flaunted an Oxford degree and Forbes magazine features, which actually we later found out were just paid advertisements, but the crowd totally bought it. The deception was just brilliant. To the public, her pitch was irresistible. She told everyone OneCoin had a fixed supply of 2.1 billion coins. Now, as you probably know, a fixed supply is a foundational rule of legitimate crypto, designed to protect its value. But the shadowy reality? Completely different. On that very stage at Wembley, she publicly announced she was doubling everyone's coins to 120 billion, literally out of thin air, and promised the price wouldn't drop. She blatantly violated the core rules of supply and demand because, well, the coin's value was entirely fabricated.
Which brings us to part 2, anatomy of a fake blockchain.
So, you might be wondering, how exactly do you build a $4 billion tech empire on completely fake tech? The glitchy reality here exposes a massive con. OneCoin wasn't a decentralized public ledger like Bitcoin. Not at all. First, they sold these so-called educational packages. Then they awarded tokens that members supposedly used for mining. But step 3 is where the real fraud happens. They simply typed fake coins into a private, centralized SQL database. It wasn't a blockchain, it was literally just a manipulated spreadsheet. Finally, Ruja and her team would just arbitrarily crank up the price of the coin to prey on people's FOMO. No actual market forces were at play whatsoever.
But behind closed doors, the whole facade was crumbling.
We actually have a panicked email from August 2015 between Ruja and her co-founder, Sebastian Greenwood. In it, she explicitly admits that they have 1.3 billion fake coins that don't even exist on their fake blockchain, and she literally writes, quote, "We are fucked." I mean, wow. This is absolute proof they knew right from the start they were running a digital illusion. They were quite literally typing billions of fake digital coins into existence and trading them for real hard cash.
All right, let's move into part 3, laundering the billions.
Because let's be real, you can't exactly hide $4 billion under a mattress, right? This operation relied on an international cartel of organized crime, dirty money, and high-powered enablers. And while Ruja disappeared, the fallout for her inner circle was brutal. Her co-founder, Karl Sebastian Greenwood, hit with a 20-year prison sentence. Mark Scott, her corporate lawyer, got 10 years. Frank Schneider, an ex-spy who ran her security, actually managed to escape house arrest in France and is currently on the run. And even her own brother, Constantine, who took over as the frontman, got arrested at LAX. So the architects who washed her billions are facing severe consequences, but Ruja remains a total ghost. The role of that corporate lawyer, Mark Scott, is especially shocking. He used offshore shell companies to launder a staggering $400 million. Court records show he completely ignored massive red flags, exploiting his position at a prestigious law firm to totally bypass anti-money laundering checks. He parked millions in a Zimbabwe bank just to get massive interest rates and helped buy a €33 million UK penthouse.
He basically funneled the fraud money straight into billionaire luxury. Now for part 4, the 2017 Athens Vanishing Act.
The walls were definitely starting to close in. But how does someone vanish without a trace in the modern digital age, especially with the FBI breathing down their neck? Well, it was an incredibly narrow escape. The scheme launched in late 2014. Fast forward to October 12, 2017, and a secret U.S. federal warrant drops for her arrest. Less than 2 weeks later, likely tipped off by her extensive security network, the Cryptoqueen boarded a commercial Ryanair flight from Sofia, Bulgaria, down to Athens, Greece. By taking a cheap commercial flight instead of a private jet, she blended in perfectly. She landed in Athens, walked out of the airport, and disappeared. Which leads us to part 5, the biggest mystery of all. Is she dead or alive and hiding? The investigation basically splits into 2 highly compelling but terrifying directions here. On one hand, you have the mafia hit theory, that she was ordered killed by a Bulgarian crime lord known as Taki, who supposedly used OneCoin to launder drug money. The theory goes she was dismembered and dumped in the Ionian Sea to cover his tracks. But on the other hand, there are major clues suggesting she is alive and well in South Africa. Investigators have received tips that she's hiding out in an affluent Cape Town neighborhood, probably with extensive plastic surgery and a new identity. Plus, in 2023, mysterious legal filings related to that London penthouse still listed her as a beneficial owner. And if you're doubting the South Africa theory, just listen to Duncan Arthur. He's a OneCoin insider who was literally traveling with Ruja's brother right before he got arrested. He completely dismisses the murder theory. He claims Ruja's brother maintained contact with her long after her supposed death. Arthur is absolutely adamant that the Cryptoqueen is still alive, pulling strings from the shadows, and enjoying the billions she stole from everyday people. So, where does that leave us? It leaves us with a huge, lingering question about the dark side of the crypto revolution. Now that the FBI is upped the bounty to $5 million, the net is wider than it's ever been. But with billions at her disposal, multiple passports, and potentially a brand new face, will Ruja Ignatova ever actually face justice? Or has she permanently outsmarted the world, pulling off the ultimate digital vanishing act? It's definitely something to think about the next time you see a financial opportunity that looks just a little too good to be true.